The discovery of yet another group of Ethiopians in Centurion has again raised questions over the country's porous borders. Over 20 young men who the police say displayed signs of malnutrition, dehydration and torture escaped from a house earlier this week from a suspected kidnapping operation. This comes months after another group of Ethiopian men were rescued from a house in Johannesburg. Now, to help us discuss what seems to be a syndicate smuggling Ethiopians, I'm joined in studio by crime expert and research associate at the University of Johannesburg, Calvin Rafadi, and Pastor Samuel Getachew, the General Secretary of Ethiopian Believers Gospel Church in South Africa, who joins us via Zoom. A very good evening to both of you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us and for giving us your time. Ntate Rafadi, perhaps let me start with you, because quite a lot of the times when we speak about smuggling, we often confuse it with human trafficking. So maybe let's start with just the definition of separating the two so that we understand the difference between trafficking and smuggling.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to your viewers and the fellow panelists. What I can tell you is that when you speak about smuggling, smuggling is either smuggling of illicit goods or even humans into whatever the territory or the country itself. Where in human trafficking, it's done in a way whereby people didn't give consent, but they are smuggled, they are exploited, some they are, fed with drugs so that they don't even see where they are handcuffed, and where they come from. You'll find that even they are reported as missing people. Where in smuggling, it's a consent that is being given. So what we normally say, to simplify it, is to say people who are smuggled, they actually want to be smuggled because of they give the consent and they want to come to the country or certain countries and look for certain opportunities.
Pastor, when we speak about smuggling, just talk to us about the system. How does it work? I mean, Mr. Rafadi is saying here that a lot of the times which we perceive as victims are people that agree to this process. So what's the transaction in a smuggling situation?
Okay, thank you. Good evening, viewers all over the world. As my brother said, human trafficking is unlawful act of transporting people in order to benefit from the work or service, typically in the form of forced labor or sexual exploitation. I am a pastor. In terms of Bible, it's not unacceptable. Human trafficking. Also, it's not unacceptable in the constitution of Ethiopia. Really, I would like to express my sadness what happened in Santon in different places.
It certainly is quite worrisome, Pastor. Are we seeing a big rise of people being smuggled into South Africa from Ethiopia?
Yes, in different reasons. There is extreme poverty and instability in Ethiopia. So they fled to get stability in South Africa. South Africa is the second home of Ethiopia. Ethiopia has played a great role in anti-apartheid freedom fighting in 1962. So we count South Africa as our second home. The people fled it because of instability, the war in northern part of Ethiopia. That's the reason. But we don't accept illegal immigration and illegal way of transporting people from one place to another place.
Calvin, how are we seeing these people being smuggled into South Africa? What are the general practices that we are seeing? And just talk to us about that transaction in terms of when a person agrees to be smuggled, who's on the other side, how does it all work?
Yeah, no, we must first start by saying everybody's welcome, but they need to have proper papers. They shouldn't be smuggled and be illegal in the country, because it also undermines the fact that when we try to profile them or looking for them as being criminals, sometimes after committing a crime, it's difficult to trace them. Now, to answer your question is that there are certain groups that are even presided over by the chairpersons of many countries. You're talking about Bangladesh, Somalian, Ethiopians, Pakistanis. They are well established and they are well connected here in South Africa, to a point that they are the ones who are enabling most of this transaction to take place. They are connected as far as the Home Affairs in the Desmond Tutu Refugee Center, of which, by the way, SIU raided last year, I think in May, and we still are waiting for the results of the outcome. They are well established with some of the top brass in the police, and what they do is that they will rent a house or even an illegal building that is illegally occupied, or a house that is illegally occupied. It will be then an harboring of anybody who comes in. But once they are kept there, they are released at a fee now to go and look for opportunities or even connect with other family members. So what they do normally, they establish this particular type of setups not far from the international airport. Because it's easy for them to do the pickups from the airports or whosoever is coming through the borders. And then they harbor them in those very expensive high market houses with big walls. So then once that happens is that once a fee is paid and then they are released. So they work more like agents, but they are very...
Who pays this fee?
Now the fees is either paid by other wholesale business people or is paid by a family member who's already in the country. So that's why I'm saying it's a well-established, well-organized crime. But this also tantamount to terrorist attack. And that's why also I'm worried about state security under domestic branch and foreign branch not to detect this, because this is one of the security breaches of our country.
So I want us to unpack that a little later on with regards to our porous borders and the impact that will have, especially when people are coming in willingly. But we're also seeing that a lot of these people are malnutritioned, are dehydrated, like these men that were found in Centurion. So it goes to show that this is not just an agent bringing in people willingly, but there's a lot of torture that goes into this. And that exchange can quite often cause a lot of harm, even within the communities that these houses are placed in. Pastor, perhaps let's bring you in here with regards to what you're seeing in terms of this transaction of people leaving Ethiopia, coming into South Africa. Talk to us about the age groups in terms of these people that are being sent into the country, and what are they here to do?
Let me talk about legal immigrant in South Africa. As I said earlier, we don't accept and support any means of illegal transportation. I feel sad what happened in Centurion, but I'm going to talk about legal immigrants in South Africa. Many of Ethiopian immigrants are hard workers. They want to survive because they count South Africa as their second home. Also, as I said earlier, we have paid and we have played a great role as a government in the regime of anti-apartheid freedom fighting. The late South African president, His Excellency Mandela, took military training in Ethiopia in 1962. Especially the legal immigrant in South Africa, they are suffering to get legal paper. They are suffering to work freely. So I would like to ask the government to see this situation deeply, because they couldn't get proper documentation in immigration. There is a bureaucracy in the area of immigration, so they are struggling to get proper documentation to work and study in South Africa. But as I said earlier, as a religious person and as a community member, we don't encourage and accept illegality in any base.
Mr. Rafadi, I just want to touch on some of the points that Pastor has raised, and maybe you can just tell us the sentiments, especially of South Africans, when they hear other countries saying, we are hard workers, we helped you during the time of apartheid, we are unable to get documentation legally into South Africa, we are running away from some of the atrocities that are happening in our own countries. Therefore, try to accommodate us. What's the feeling among South Africans along those lines?
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, that everybody is welcomed as long as they get proper documentation. And even though some of the countries, we get people with very rare skill, they are welcome to, come to the country and work and transfer their skill. The issue that many South Africans are having on the ground is that a lot of illegal immigrants, they commit certain horrific crimes. And there are many countries where they originate from, even when they are this side, they establish networks which are of big syndicates that, white-collar crime, violent crime. It depends which country. I'm not only speaking about Ethiopia, but many other countries. And that's why I said that these are terrorist attacks because of drugs are involved, smuggling of people is involved, smuggling of weapons, even high-caliber weapons, automatic rifles are smuggled. So that is the problem that South Africa is having, that everybody, there's a high influx, but in that high influx, there are good people, but many of them, they are processed and end up committing certain crimes just to survive. Because there's a higher number of less opportunities and a higher number of unemployed, even amongst our youth. Now, speaking of Nelson Mandela and other struggle wards, they also welcome the move that, we've got bilateral agreements with certain countries and the like. But when it comes to crime, nobody will want to accept that a gun can be smuggled and an ex-militant coming from a foreign country, transferring certain skills to our people. And then, everybody fights for that little bread, but the winner takes it all. So it becomes a banana republic in that fashion. So
expand for us these syndicates. Once those that have been smuggled land in South Africa, they go to these houses. Where are they often distributed to, and what sort of businesses are they placed in?
Yeah, most of them, they get opportunities in some of the wholesalers and the warehouses. We see them after acquiring illegal asylum. Some, they get legal asylum. That's why I spoke and mentioned the Desmond Tutu Refugee Center. Because, from that very same house, let's say where they're keeping them, you'll find an agent will take 20, 30, 40 of those passports, and they smuggle them again in those refugee camps so that they can get stamped and they can get asylums. Now, once that is prepared, a fee can be paid as little as from 5,000 to a 20,000, sometimes to a 50,000, just to release someone to go and do a hard labor at one of these warehouses or even one of the wholesalers. But also in between, there's a lot of illicit goods that are smuggled, illicit cigarette, counterfeit clothes. Like if you go now to Joburg tomorrow, even police cannot get Johannesburg right, because a lot of these people, illegal foreigners, they've occupied warehouses there. Police, when they come there, they want to raid. The big syndicates, they've got the top brass of the police on their speed dial. And the raids are called off. So there's a lot of criminality that takes place in within this particular industry that we are concerned of.
Sure, that's so concerning. Pastor, is there any work that your church is doing to assist some of those that have been smuggled into the country and are possibly looking for ways to go back to Ethiopia and not be a part of these syndicates?
Yes, immigration is a global phenomena. There are immigrants also in my homeland, Ethiopia, from Somalia, from South Sudan, from Syria. More than 1 million immigrants in Ethiopia. Also, there are immigrants in South Africa. I'm talking about legal immigrants. They are struggling to find proper documentation, asylum paper. So I would like to ask the government to see the situation in exceptional way. In terms of church, we gave awareness to not participate in criminal activity and to avoid to participating in human trafficking, because human trafficking is not good in different aspect in terms of security. So we gave awareness in the church, in every service, and also we do humanitarian work. The last 18 years, we donate what we have, those who in need of our help. Because South Africa is our second home, we do have great respect and love the nation of South Africa and the government of South Africa.
Calvin, when we speak about the security of the country, this is quite concerning, and you touched on it earlier on, where we're seeing even weapons being smuggled into our country. And you also speak about how these syndicates have got those connections right through to the top brass of many of the departments that we are looking to protect the country and South Africans. Where do you think could be the low-hanging fruit for us to start in order for us to be able to fix and eradicate the situation?
We need to fix our borders. We do not have borders currently. There's a research that I'm busy conducting. Actually, I've completed it. I just need to proofread some of what the findings are.
Okay.
I've gone on the ground. We do not have borders. There's even, you know, when you speak about this Beit Bridge, there's so-called Abu Malaysia. Now, Abu Malaysia, they are the ones that, you know, this overloaded trucks, buses, trailers, they transport goods, illicit goods over those borders. And from what I've researched and found out is that we do not have borders. It's so easy to pay a bribe at the borders or to go and cross at the river, no matter what technology we can deploy. So that's our first point of departure. Now, secondly, I wrote one opinion piece talking about why are we grey listed at the FATF. And one of the findings is that the impact of or the harm that a prepaid SIM card is playing a big role. Now, some of our fellow brothers, they own these particular shops where you can easily walk in and get a pre-record SIM card. Do you know how much crime is committed on those particular SIM cards? I thought by now our Honorable Minister, Solimalachi, and together with ICASA could have now made laws available and amended certain clauses to deal with this pre-record SIM card. Because of throwaway phones, banner phones, they are used to commit crime. And police end up chasing their own tail, trying to find who has committed this particular crime. So let's sort out the borders. Let's, as a low-hanging fruit, let's sort out also the issue of the pre-record SIM card. And then I think we should be getting somewhere after that.
Where did we go wrong? Where did we put our foot off the pedal to have our borders in the way that they are, and to have SIM cards that people are able to commit crimes and police can't link them back to them?
Where we went wrong, we needed a political will. So it's the good, before you can even speak about political will, you need to diagnose what you are dealing with. So if you diagnose any situation or any risk wrongfully so, you will never get it right. So now we have diagnosed it. Even academia has done quite extensive researches on certain issues, how we can deal with crime. Now we are happy that our law enforcement are in partnership with business, and business can deploy certain resources to tackle certain crimes. So let us now go on the ground and effect those. But again, another problem that we are sitting with is the top structure of the subs. They need to put up good people who qualify for those positions. We cannot have someone in the top structure receiving gifts of perfumes of 3,000 every weekend, and then they don't even declare. I mean, just to, for instance, is the policy 500 above, you must declare. But you find in the top structure, that's why some of these criminals, they've got them on the speed dial. So before we name and shame, we need to deal decisively, lifestyle audit all this top brass, and then let's implement action in all of this.
I was about to ask you to name and shame, but thank you so much for your time, both gentlemen. We certainly do appreciate, and this is a very concerning issue that's facing us as South Africans, and I'm sure it's going to affect for many years to come if we don't deal with it as quickly as possible. So thank you for your time. That was Calvin Rafadi, who is a crime expert and research associate at the University of Johannesburg, as well as Pastor Samuel Getachew, who is the General Secretary at the Ethiopian Believers Gospel Church in South Africa.